Welcome to the Donna Seebo Show Special Editions. This program is dedicated to featuring authors and experts from around the world who will share their knowledge and insight with you, the viewing and listening audience. Literacy and education are the keys to freedom, and diversity enables one to live in a world with broader perspectives. This is Donna Seebo, and I will be your host for the next hour.
Hello and welcome. Donna Seebo here. I'm your host, and we are going to be traveling with this special editions program to Mexico. Now, I don't know if you've ever had the privilege of being there, but I have got a fabulous guest, Michael Higgins, and he's been on my radio show multiple times. And right now, we are going to have a chance to actually be one-on-one with Michael, because he's going to give us a little bit of a tour in his book about Mexico and wineries and communities and travel tips. I mean, this is a man that has published more than one book relative to traveling to different countries. And believe me, it is amazing what he did in this publication about Mexico, which is what we are featuring today. Michael, I want to welcome you to the show.
Well, thank you, Donna. It's nice to be here.
Well, you know, Michael, I really, after the programs that we've done together and the travels we've experienced via technology, I think it's such a joy to be able to have you where people can see you. And not only that, where they're going to be able to hear what you have been able to accomplish relative to what you have been doing. Let's get into a little bit of your background. Now, you have got the travel bug big time. This is something that you have really enjoyed very, very much being a part of. How did you get started in this? I mean, you're a photographer, you've got this background. Give us a little bit of your bio, if you will.
Wow, well, you asked me what got me into travel is that I'm a pilot and I fly airplanes, and I created a magazine for people who own their own private airplanes, which is what's really turned me into a travel lover, both from the magazine as well as flying. And that's really how flying entered my passion. But you know what's interesting about publishing, and you asked about my background, is I started as a paperboy. So I started at the bottom as a paperboy and worked my way up to being publisher. So it's kind of a nice journey.
Well, with the photography that you have done, and your book on Mexico is just breathtaking, and we'll be having some photos that you sent me that will be shown about the different places in Mexico. But for you to get into this and then to be able to go to all of these different wineries and these beautiful environments, who knew about this? I mean, I had no idea when I opened up your book. Every book you have produced, whether it's been on Argentina, Bordeaux, France, or it has been about California, which is known for its wineries. France is known for its wineries. But my goodness, Mexico, I think a lot of people, unless they've lived there, they even suspect that everybody's walking around with a donkey in their backyard, sombreros on their head, and, you know, there's just this image of John Wayne movies, you know, that type of thing. And it's not
it's
that way.
It's a surprise, isn't it?
Oh, it's gorgeous. It is gorgeous.
I live in Southern California, which puts me very close to Mexico. And I never went to the Mexico wine regions until I decided to do this book. And what a surprise it was for me. Such an eye-opener about the quality of wines they're producing.
Well, it's not just about the wines, though. It's about the country itself. It is breathtakingly beautiful. Now, from when somebody enters your book, when they start reading your book, they find out that there's this phenomenal history in Mexico that started back in the 1600s with the wineries. Let's go into that a little bit. Who knew? I mean, I didn't.
Well, it's rather interesting that the oldest winery in North America is in Mexico. I mean,
Amazing.
one would think that it's in Napa, right? That would be
Mm-hmm.
like,
Yep.
that'd be a pretty quick, easy. I'm sure it's in Napa, but it's not. It's in Mexico. You know what's crazy about this whole thing with Mexico and wine is that their independence from Spain is because of wine. You might have
How?
read that in my book. It's just
Yeah.
fascinating. You know, when Spain had conquered Mexico, which, then it wasn't Mexico, it was just that territory,
Mm-hmm.
the King of Spain required that vineyards were planted all over the country, like huge quantities, and that all that wine would be shipped back to Spain. That was the plan. But there was a little bit of a problem. The wines coming from Mexico were better than the wines in Spain.
Uh-oh.
That's a problem. And so the king started taxing it until it was no longer viable to ship the wine from Mexico to Spain, and the rebellion began. And the rebellion not just became the rebellion for wine, but that's how they created their independence from Spain in total, all because of
Amazing.
wine.
Oh, amazing. You know,
It is
when
interesting, isn't it?
I really think so. And California, that's we're neighbors with Mexico. They are our next door neighbors. And I was surprised to find out that it was the 36th country listed for production of wine. But they are winning awards right and left. They may not be the biggest producer of wine. Number 36, I don't know how many wineries are listed, but my goodness, the places that you visited were absolutely amazing in their production capabilities and the variances, the varieties of wines that are produced. And my goodness, you're in the modern world. You're not in some defunct community or
You're
third
right.
world country. Not at all.
The wineries in Mexico have become very smart in hiring winemakers from California and France. Winemakers from Napa, winemakers that went to like UC Davis. These are like top level winemakers who have who have been hired, and it's the winemaker's responsibility to create great wines, and that's what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
the primary wine region is in Baja, Mexico. It's called Valle de Guadalupe.
Mm-hmm.
And that wine region has the exact same environment that Napa has, and Santa Barbara has, and Sonoma has, and Paso Robles have, all throughout California. And what that environment is, which we call terroir in the wine world, is a valley that gets hot, and then the cold Pacific Ocean comes in day and night, hot, cold, hot, cold. And wine grapes love a huge range of day night temperature. And they have that in Valle de Guadalupe just like it is in Napa and Santa Barbara.
Amazing.
It's really the whole coast here. And even, when you think of the whole coast having the cold Pacific Ocean and the hot valleys, that's what makes great wine, along with a great winemaker and a team.
Mm-hmm. When you think of the 1600s and those vineyards beginning then, and here we are in 2025, with all of the technologies today that we have, the chemical analysis, the storage, different ways of storage. One of the places in the Valley of Guadalupe, there's this beautiful hacienda that you went to that they sent me a photo on it, and we've got that photo and we're going to be sharing it with the audience. But it's magical. I mean, it is the beautiful
Beautiful.
artistic component of the Mexican soul, I think. It's just something that when you're there, it's the fountains are flowing. It's absolutely beautiful.
You're talking about the photo that's on the cover, aren't you? Are you
Yes.
speaking of this one right here?
Yes, that's it,
Yes.
Michael.
This
That's it.
place is so beautiful, and I know you see the photo, but it's a winery with excellent wines, and you can stay there. I mean, it's a little hacienda where they have, I'm guessing, half a dozen rooms, and they have the most incredible dinners. I mean, it's a whole food, wine, lodging, horseback riding experience all in one place.
Wow. Now that's really something special. You know, when you were talking about Casa Frida and you sent me a photo of that, that sculpture is breathtaking with all of the rose petals around it. That is absolutely wonderful. I mean,
I
this
am
is what,
looking
what
for
you
that
see.
photo. Do you want to know what that sculpture is?
What is it?
It's a wine decanter.
Oh, come on. A wine decanter?
It's a wine decanter.
It's huge.
This is you're speaking of this, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So you pour the well, maybe I should show it at the same time.
Okay.
You pour the wine into here, and
Oh,
there's a
my.
filter. So it goes through a filter onto actually before that, it's going onto a ball, a round glass ball with water inside, and you can put that in your refrigerator or freezer. So when the wine goes over it, it gets cooled, it goes through a filter, and then it fills up in here, which is the decanter. And then when you release the wine out of here, it's an aerator. So you're getting all these components in one, plus it's just gorgeous. It's a
Amazing.
sculpture. It's a
It
piece of
is.
art.
It is. It's just, when I saw that, I said, this is so elegant. It is so beautiful. So absolutely beautiful. And then also, one of the factors that you include, which I think is so important, and that is that you take photos of different communities and different aspects of the environments that you happen to come across. And there's such a
Yes.
magic in the photography because it conveys so much. The size of the vineyards. You have some photos in your book regarding the size of the vineyards, and they are massive. We're not talking about
Yes.
a little acre, we're talking about acres. This is something,
Yes.
how did you get some of these photographs? Did you climb on somebody's roof to be able to get the picture? I mean, they're huge.
I do everything I can. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I'm up on a hill, or you never know. Because some of them are really big. I mean, there's small wineries, there's big wineries, there are huge wineries. There's a winery in Valle de Guadalupe that's so big that they make 50%, 50% of all the wine in Mexico from one winery.
Wow.
It's kind of like Anheuser-Busch with Budweiser, having 50% market share. They have 50% market share.
That is incredible. That
And
is
then those
incredible.
vineyards that you see, those are not even theirs. Those are other big wineries there. The wine in Mexico is not small, and the quality is amazing. One of the wineries has has their wine now on the French Laundry wine list. The three-star Michelin
Mm-hmm.
restaurant in Napa Valley. Their wines are on their wine list. That's
Oh,
how
my
good the
heavens.
wines are getting.
Oh, my goodness. That's exciting. It really is. It's
It
quite
is. I mean, the
exciting.
success is just it gives me chills.
Mm-hmm. Now, one of the things that you have in your book is a place that you went to, and it had to do with animals. It was the Pai Pai Ecotourism Park
Yeah.
Conservation System, and we've got a photo of you with a monkey. And was her name Rebecca?
Yes, that's my girlfriend.
That's your girlfriend. Okay, here we go. There's a little bit of romance
You
going on
have a
in
picture.
Mexico. Okay,
Yes.
so
Oh
what?
my gosh. She fell in love with me, and she
Uh,
would not let go. She wouldn't leave. Even the people who worked there could not get her away from me. She just held on. She would kiss me. She'd play with my hair. She'd play with my nose. Look at her. She's adorable.
She is just amazing. And she's a little one. She's not a great big monkey.
She's little, right.
She's a little person. And I just thought so you had a chance to be able to go and see this place that deals with conservation. So in Mexico, there is a real big concern, as there are in so many countries, about taking care of the creatures that are using Mexico as their home.
Yeah, this is a place for wild animals to come to. And they come there for a lot of reasons. They don't have a home, or they need medical attention, or, something's happened, and this is a great haven where they take care of them.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go there, and they will let you play with an animal or two. Now, being a journalist, I got to play with maybe 15 of them. And I'm an animal lover, so this was like paradise for me. So, and Rebecca was certainly the highlight.
Yes, I can imagine. And the photo of the two of you is just really, really special. Also, there are some places that you were able to visit. And again, the photography is just amazing. And one of those places was Santuario de Jesus de Nazareno. And that is a UNESCO site in Mexico. Am I correct?
Yes. You're talking about the church, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That
Right.
is such a spectacular building.
Isn't that
And
amazing?
that goes back to the 1700s, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that little town that it's in, and I'm guessing, but there's 100 people that live there. I mean,
That's
it's a
all?
little tiny place out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's in the wine region, but it's hidden. You would never know it's there. And I love finding these places and being able to share them with my readers.
Mm-hmm.
Because you'd never know about this, because it's really off on a side street. I mean, I was literally horseback riding when I found this place.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
that really makes it an adventure, because that adds a magic to all of what you are sharing with people in your beautiful book. This is a book where you can go page by page, and you have this awareness of the different cultural aspects within Mexico, but also the fact that there is so much beauty. The Mexican people love color. They love the beauty of the whatever they can have around
There is
themselves.
a lot of color, isn't
Yes, and music. The music and the arts is so very important to the people. And then you have the Guanajuato. I may not be pronouncing that
That's
correctly.
right, Guanajuato.
Okay, and they have a colonial village, and that you have a picture of the streets. And this is like old Mexico. This is something, but it's immaculate. It is just, it's wonderful.
Incredible. It's called San Miguel de Allende. And it has a very interesting history, because there was some disease, can't remember, it's in my book. I should read my book, right? And the town was evacuated because they thought the town was giving them the disease.
Wow.
So the place became vacant. And then what happened was artists here in the United States started going there because it was cheap. No one wanted to be there. They could buy a building because no one wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
So San Miguel has become an artist community. There is so much art there. It's incredible. And it's no longer cheap, by the way.
That's
it's
not a
actually a very
surprise.
expensive place because
Yes.
it's so nice. But I always joke about, this is Mexico, San Miguel de Allende, in Guanajuato. The second language in San Miguel is Spanish.
Mm-hmm. The second language.
Right, everyone speaks English. Remember, it was artists from the United States that brought this city back to life, and it's now a UNESCO you know, World Heritage Site. Oh, did you
Wow.
see the grocery store?
Yes, it's
Oh my
amazing.
gosh. Whenever I go there, I go to the grocery store first. That grocery store is so nice that it makes Whole Foods to shame. I mean, this place is so beautiful. I mean, when you go in there, you see them place every little strawberry in perfect place, and the store is huge. I mean, it's huge. I mean, of course, they have a wine shop, but the
Oh,
wine shop
naturally,
has
naturally.
wines from all over the world, and
Yes.
and the wine shop is the size of a regular grocery store. It's so big. This place
Amazing.
is huge. It's so big. It has one, two, three. I can think of four restaurants inside the store,
That's big.
plus a coffee shop, and they make gelato out of Cabernet Sauvignon. You gotta have a Cabernet Sauvignon gelato.
That's the first time I've heard that even mentioned. That is
Oh,
amazing.
but what an incredible place. It's like a grocery store that you'd never expect. I mean, they don't even have that in Beverly Hills.
Oh,
And look what they have there. It's so nice.
that's incredible. You know, Michael, because you travel so much in your book,
Yeah.
not only are you talking about these different communities, the different environments that you come across, the conservation location, all of this, but you also give travel tips because quite a few people are very concerned about the cabals. The violence that is down there. We hear about this. And they are concerned about safety. And this is something I'd like for you to address because Mexico is an incredible country. They have magnificent museums. There's just so much there. What would you want? You give tips in your book, but share a few with us now.
Well, I recommend don't going into the drugs or weapons business.
Okay.
That's my recommendation because now you're in competition with the cartel and you do have yourself a problem. And I think if you just keep your nose clean and have a good time and stay away from all of that, you're fine. I've been to Mexico 50, 75 times maybe. I have been to Mexico a lot and I always feel safe. But you have to be careful. I mean, if you're in a big city, Mexico City's no different than Los Angeles or New York
Mm-hmm.
in terms of, big cities have their challenges, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here you're going to little places. I mean, Guanajuato and the wine regions in San Miguel. I mean, you're out in the countryside. It's just beautiful and it feels very safe.
Now, when it comes to traveling, you've got your packing down so efficiently that just about anybody is going to be. And I'll tell you, I read it and I said, one bag? Are you serious? Really? And just one of those little bags? And you don't have a 29-inch suitcase? I mean, seriously? What do you take? What do you not take? I mean, how can you do that? You're gone for sometimes a month.
So I do only a carry-on. I don't even own a bigger suitcase. I only have carry-on. And so like I'm leaving on Monday for Greece. My next book is on Greece.
Yes.
I will be there for 6 weeks and I'm going with a carry-on. And
My.
here's the crazy part, Donna. When I get home, every time when I come home, there's always a couple things in my suitcase that I never wore. Isn't that funny?
Really?
Yeah, I
Oh
know.
my
It's
goodness.
but I'll tell you one of the best things about going carry-on is that when you come home, especially on international flights, you get two free suitcases.
Aha.
Those are two cases of wine as far as I'm concerned.
Ah, there we go.
So you collect your wine when you're there, and you bring them home because a case of wine, 12 bottles, weighs 42 pounds, and the airlines give us 50. So
Mm-hmm.
we're well under the time limit, right? It's like perfect. I mean,
Amazing.
time limit, the weight limit.
Mm-hmm. So you get two free cases of wine that you bring back with you from wherever you are because of,
Exactly. And I just
okay.
carry on my carry-on suitcase.
There you go. That's a secret that you've developed.
It really
How
is
long,
the secret.
Michael, how long have you been doing this? How long have you been traveling like this? Because it takes time to get a book together. I mean, you have the photography, you have all the scripts and information and the indexes and everything else that you're putting in your book. It's a magnificent publication. I mean, that how long have you been doing this?
Wow. For 12 years, I
Okay.
have 4 books. They're big and they're extensive. So, like Argentina, which is first, went to Argentina in 2013, 14, and 15 and published the book in 16. Then I went to Bordeaux in 2017, 18, and 19 and published it in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And then I live in California, and 2020, was the pandemic. So the timing was so perfect to do California because I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
So 21 and 22 for California, published it in 23, and then published Mexico in 24, and Greece will be in 26. So I'm sort of speeding up my process here a little bit. And there's some overlap in terms of, you know, going to Mexico while I'm working on California, going to Greece while I'm working on Mexico. I'm trying to publish more books and more frequently. In fact, after Greece, I'm not sure what is going to be the next book, but I want to do some smaller books so I can get them done and get them published so that people have more places to go. So there's some smaller wine regions around the world that I am going to explore and publish books about.
Oh, that's wonderful. You also have information about the seasons, which I found very significant. You break down the seasons in the back of your book because you want
Oh,
people to
yeah.
know what the activities are for the times that you go to to Mexico, for example, specifically. And
Yes.
during certain times of the year, the temperatures might be hotter than normal. I know of someone that lives in Mexico and they're here in the United States because they say it's too hot where they are in Mexico. And consequently, they come to the United States to cool down. They're in Minnesota though, so I don't know that there would be that much difference, but that's beside the point. We're coming into autumn here, but they said they plan on being outside of the community in Mexico because it does get very hot. And again, I don't recall which community they were in or are in. But this is something you go into because the wineries have a process for harvesting the grapes, for pruning, for doing things like this. You list all of that in the back of your book.
I do. the it's so different at different times of the year because in the spring the new buds are coming out. It's this really fresh green leaves, and then you start to get the flowers as because flowers turn to fruit. So the first
Mm-hmm.
thing that happens is you get these buds of flowers, and then the flowers turn to fruit, and then you start to have what starts to look like a grape bunch, and then they start growing, and then after they've grown to their size, then there's this thing called veraison where they actually change color because it's going from the green grape to the red grape. And so there's this time it changes colors. I try to get pictures and put them in the book because a grape cluster during that time is so beautiful because you see it's like a rainbow of colors all in one grape bunch. And then as you continue, then of course the grapes mature, and that's a great time to be there because wine grapes taste really delicious.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we
I
don't
can
see them in
imagine.
the grocery store because they're probably just too valuable for wine. But it's a great time to see them. And then when the fall comes, you know, vineyards change colors, the leaves turn yellow and red and orange, and it goes through the whole fall season, which is so beautiful. And then the winter, the vineyards look dead. I mean, there's nothing on them, they're just sticks. But what ends up happening is you start to get this growth between the rows of the vines, and then flowers come, and it becomes another sort of beautiful scenario of seeing all these wildflowers amongst what looks like a dead vineyard, which is actually very much alive. It's sleeping for the winter.
Now, do they have winter wines? Do you know of any wineries in Mexico that do the winter wines like they have in certain
You mean the
vineyards
ice
here in
wine?
Washington? Yes, ice
Ice
wine.
wine, you mean,
Yes,
right?
ice wine.
Yeah, it doesn't really get cold enough for that. You're so far north that you know, it'll get cold early while the grapes are still good, and so, it freezes them. But there's also late harvest. I mean, that's another way they make sweet wine is just leave the grapes on longer, and they continue to create sugar and become sweeter and sweeter, and that's how you can make the sweet wine differently from the ice wine, which is also sweet.
Mm-hmm. This is something, when I'm thinking of it, I'm also thinking of what is it? The Freis, Freix. I don't know how that's pronounced in Mexico. And one of the things that you say right off the bat is that there's bubbles everywhere with that
Ah.
particular location. And you say it's the most visited winery in Mexico.
So it's called Freixenet.
Oh,
Kind of
it's
hard
French.
to picture that from its spelling, but that's the name of the winery, Freixenet.
I knew I was going to mess it up. Okay.
And they only make sparkling wine. That's what they
Oh,
do. So if you're a champagne person, this is a place to go to. And when you think of these three wine regions that are in my book, this wine region, which is called Querétaro, is really very small. And it's funny that this little small region has the winery that's most visited. The reason why it's most visited is because they have a massive cave. It's the biggest cave in Mexico. It's bigger. I mean, I don't know if I've seen caves bigger than this cave. It's huge. And you walk down, I should have counted hundreds of steps deep into the earth with this massive cave, which is where they age the wine. That's where they age it. That's where, sparkling wine is aged just like, still wine. So that's what Freixenet is. And we do get Freixenet wine here, but you're going to taste better Freixenet wine there. Freixenet is owned by a Spanish company, a big, huge Spanish company that makes sparkling wine in Cava. Cava is the Champagne region in Spain. And so they kind of control that wine. So the higher volume wine that comes out of there gets shipped to the United States. And I recommend you have to go to this winery. I mean, the cave is crazy, amazing, like unbelievable. But you're going to be able to taste some of the most incredible sparkling wines. And they just opened up 4 outdoor restaurants right there at the property. So you can be drinking the sparkling wine and eating the foods. And I'm trying to remember, one's a fish restaurant, one's a Mexican restaurant, one's an Italian restaurant, and one's a Spanish restaurant. I think those are the 4. I'm not sure about that, but I'm pretty sure. What a place to go. And you know what else? You were talking about hot. So there's something unique about Guanajuato and Querétaro is that they are outside of the wine parallels in the world. So the 30 to 50 degree parallel around the world, both in the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere, is where all the wine regions are in the world. And when you look at Valle de Guadalupe in Baja, Mexico, their primary wine region, they're in that 30 to 50. But Guanajuato and Querétaro are not. They're very far south. And the reason why it works is because of the elevation. They're in the mountains. They're at
Ah,
6,000 feet elevation. That's where the vineyards are growing at, is 6,000.
wow.
So the temperatures are like 80 degrees in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
So you were talking about earlier about, oh my gosh, Mexico's too hot in the summer. Not there, it's not. It's beautiful weather. It's 80s. In fact, this is why this is such a popular place to go to, is that it's 80 degrees 12 months out of the year. It's always beautiful, warm, and not hot weather there.
Now, when someone wants to travel to Mexico, what is it like? What do they need to pay attention to relative to passport, or do they need a visa? What is it they need to be aware of? You travel there, you've traveled there so many times. What do they need to pay attention to?
Well, if you're coming from the United States with a US passport, you just need your passport. That's it. If you're coming from other countries, there may be some visa requirements. I'm really not sure. It could be. I just don't know. But I
Mm-hmm.
know for us in the United States, which is where most of my books are sold, you just come with your passport. That's all you really need. It's very simple. It's not complicated. You just
Mm-hmm.
go and come home.
Well, I think that this is something that is so amazing, but what surprised me with your book, really surprised me, and that
Okay.
is olive oil. You said the best olive oil you have ever tasted, and you've traveled internationally. The best
I'm going to
olive oil.
Greece where the olive oil is so good.
Okay, now you said Mexico City was the best you'd ever had. Okay, so let's get some clarification on that. I would never have imagined olive oil from Mexico. I don't think I've ever heard of anybody talking about having olive oil from Mexico.
Okay, I'm looking for the place so I can tell you the name of this place. So I was there a year before I tasted this great olive oil. And I was at the winery with the owner, and he was showing me around, and they were harvesting the olives when I was there. So we went over to the machines, and it's ground up olives, right? And they're trying to, press
Mm-hmm.
oil out of the, out of the olives. And so we took some back, and he had some fresh bread, and it was so good. It was so good. It was like shockingly good. And I told him, "You don't need to do anymore. Just put this thing in a bottle." But there was more to go. There was filtering to do. There was some aging to
Uh-huh.
do. There were some things that he needed to do. And I've never made olive oil, so I don't know fully the extent you have to do. But I came back a year later and I asked him how the olive oil was. And he brought that olive oil out with some fresh baked bread again. It was the best olive oil experience I have ever had. It was insane how good it was. And I looked at him and I said, "This is amazing." He says, and he looked at me and he says, "This is the best tasting olive oil he's ever tasted. It's the best olive oil he's ever made." It was amazing.
Incredible. So
And
the
of course, you bring a
Italians,
bottle home.
yeah, absolutely. So the Italians and the Greeks have got competition from Mexico that I'm sure they never
They
expected.
really do. But you know what? Grapevines and olive trees and oak trees all tend to grow together in the same place.
Oh, that's interesting.
And what's really nice about olive oil is the harvest from the trees is a couple months after the harvest from the grapes. So it works out to be really efficient for the wineries to handle the grapes, harvest, make the wines, and then move into the olives right afterwards. It's a perfect timing. By the way, the name of that winery is called Cuna de Tierra, and they're in Guanajuato. Oh, look at this. Here we go. This is the before and the after.
There
So
you
what you
are.
see on this side is when I was there the first time when they're grinding all those olives.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what happened when I came back, and it's inside the bottle.
You know, you sent also the photo, and there's a number of them that shows the storage areas for the wineries. And those
Yes.
storage areas, now you've already mentioned one place, and that one place that you mentioned is in a cave. Well, storing things in
Yes.
caves go back for centuries because you have a stable temperature in that cave.
That's right.
So you've got that. But there are so many unique vats. I don't know, maybe because I've not visited that many wineries, but every winery that you visited had its own storage tanks that were very, very different. None of them looked exactly the same. Some of them were metal, others looked like they were in pottery vats, beautifully designed. We're not talking about small vats either, we're talking about big vats. And
Yes.
the storage areas, when it comes to storing the wine, some of them were stored in these different vats for periods of time. Others were stored in wood barrels. And you have images of these massive, massive storage areas. How in the world do they even keep track of all of it?
Well, while they can be used for storage, they're actually where they vinify the wine. I had found this is the cave we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That's Freixenet. That's the cave.
That's
There's
incredible.
the sparkling wine.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a winery there. I think it's a really good picture that. Here it is. I found it easy enough. This is a nice picture showing one, two, three, four, five different types of vessels.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And these are used for actually fermenting the wine.
They're
And
all
so
different materials.
well, you see the wood,
Uh-huh.
here, and you see the metal, but
Mhm.
there's clay, and there's different kinds of clay. There's concrete. This is a special kind of black concrete. So they're using all these different kinds of materials to vinify and make the wine, and they're different. The environment changes how they make the wine. And that particular winery is just obsessed with the quality of making wine. I mean, it's, this guy doesn't care what it costs. He wants to make the best wines ever. And now that he has such amazing wines, uh, there's no distribution. The restaurants all want his wine. So he sells all of his wines to the restaurants, or you and I go there and we can get the wines directly.
That's amazing. He doesn't even export them. They're all.
He doesn't even export them. There's not enough. The restaurants just take it all.
Wow.
And they know how good it is, and and it's a great little business for him because he's made a reputation of these amazing wines, small batches, unique, great flavors, goes with food, and the restaurants take it all away.
That's another thing. I have to warn people, when you read this book, make sure you've eaten whatever you can before you start reading it, because when you look at the photos of the food, you're going to want to eat the pages that are there. I mean, that's gorgeous stuff. No calories, though, if you choose to eat the pages. You won't gain an ounce. So, Michael, how in the world do you stay trim? I mean, really.
I do.
You would otherwise, I think, would be like 500 pounds with the kinds of food that you took pictures of.
I am trim. And you know what's the funniest thing is when I travel to these wine regions, they feed me like a pig. And when I come home, I weigh less. But I have a couple of funny stories about the food. And the food is maybe a really big deal because most of the wineries have restaurants. I mean, that's not necessarily common in all the wine regions you go to around the world.
Mm-hmm.
These wineries have restaurants, and I'm not talking about Mexican food. This is international cuisine, gourmet, beautiful presentations, amazing recipes, talented, trained chefs that are making amazing foods. I've had people say to me that they love my book, but they can't find the wineries because the food gets in the way.
That's the truth. Let me tell you. You see all of these, and there's these. Oh, it's just like you want it. If you ever have a chance, let me pause for just a minute. If you ever have a chance to add fragrance to the pages that the food is
Oh, what a
displayed
good
on,
idea.
I mean, your sales could just go through the ceiling. It is amazing, absolutely amazing.
So remember, I never went to the wine regions until I did this book, even though I live in Southern California. I grew up in San Diego. Look how close I was.
Mm-hmm.
Because Valle de Guadalupe is only an hour's drive south of the border. I mean, it's right there. It's just so convenient. So the first time I'm in Valle de Guadalupe, I get a text from a friend or acquaintance, somebody I haven't really talked to in a few years, but she sends me a text and I tell her that I am in Valle de Guadalupe. And she says, "Oh my God, I go there 3 to 4 times a year." And I thought, "Isn't that amazing?" And I said, "You've got to tell me which wineries to go to." And I still can't believe her response. She says, "I don't go there for the wineries. I go there for the restaurants. The food is off the charts, amazing." It's like being in a Michelin restaurant in Beverly Hills, but it's 75% off in Mexico. It's just, and the food's amazing. Well, you're looking at the pictures. Once people see the pictures, okay, I was in a restaurant, um, 10 courses, maybe 12 courses. It's all chef menu. So not a, you're not picking the food. It's a chef driven menu. 10, 12 courses. They probably delivered 14. Everything was paired with wines. And not just wines, because a couple of dishes needed a cocktail. I think one of them needed a beer. So they were really good at this whole experience. And it was $100.
Wow.
Crazy, isn't it?
Did you go
That's
out?
why this woman goes there 3 to 4 times a year, because the food's amazing and the prices are awesome.
Just hearing about 10 courses. I remember someone that went to China, that when they were in China, they got 10 courses or 15 courses of a meal. And the person that was the guide for the individual that was visiting there said, "We've got to stop this. I'm ready to die. I've got all of this food. I can't eat
Too
anymore."
much food. I
Too
know.
much food. But and I just say that because that is just unimaginable to me, having 10 courses. But we're not talking about big servings of anything.
Small servings,
Yeah,
right?
very small servings in just the elegance and the relaxation, the conversation you would have with someone while you were there. And I would imagine, talking with the chefs, that you had a great time with
Yes.
what they had to share with you.
You know, I get to hang out with winemakers and chefs on my trips. It's not a bad gig.
No kidding. That is not a bad gig at all, and you don't even get sunburned. I mean, it's
I
really
don't get sunburned and I don't get fat.
yeah, and
It
that
works.
just it works. So you've got the end all of end all. San Miguel de Allende. That is also a massive church that was built in, I think, before the 1700s, but then in the
Isn't that beautiful?
1800s, that was taken over, and it's a Gothic style church that just takes your breath away. All of the
Pretty
photos
amazing,
that
isn't
you
it?
had there. When you're doing the photography, Michael, and you're interacting with the people there, I would imagine there's this very open conversation that you have with them that is just totally enjoyable. I mean, you said it when we first started our conversation, you were on horseback and discovered one area that you had never explored before. I mean, this has to be very satisfying to you.
It's the best. I love travel. I love food. I love wine. I love people. I love cultures. I love landscapes. I love photography. I get to do everything I love and put it into a book so that other people can enjoy the same thing.
Now, also, what's in your book that I thought was quite interesting, you recommend that people make sure they have GPS on their phones. And you have something that people can put on their phones or something you recommend. And that is in the back part of your book. So the people have an itinerary. You even draw maps. You have maps that are in your book as well. So
Lots of
people have an
maps.
aware of that. Would you
And
recommend
plot
that?
the wineries so you know where they
Yes.
are.
How did
But
you
you know
go?
what you're asking about? So the books are printed books, I mean, they
Hmm.
are printed books, right? I
Right?
mean, it's, you know, Bordeaux. Bordeaux's my biggest book. It's 500 pages.
Mm-hmm.
So there are also digital books, which we call our digital travel edition. Both Apple and Amazon both sell them. And in the digital book, well, in the printed book, the digital book's exactly the same as the digital book. And what I have in there is the name of the winery, their address, their phone number, their email, their website, their hours, what languages they speak. I mean, I have the whole thing. But in the digital book, those items are active, meaning you click on the address and it opens up your maps and it takes you to the winery. That to me is okay, so these books are big, so you may not want to carry it with you when you travel. And you don't want to ruin them because they're so beautiful. I mean, it's a coffee
Mm-hmm.
table
Very
piece,
true.
beautiful gift.
Yes.
So you don't want to ruin your book. So the travel edition solves that because it doesn't weigh any more to have it on your phone or tablet. But the best part is that you want to call the winery or call the hotel, you just press it and your phone's ringing.
Incredible. What
And the
about?
maps is the best part because sometimes these places are hard to find. You've never been there before. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's so nice to have maps, just draw it out and you follow the maps and you get there. It's so good.
That's true. Michael, what about hiring a driver? This is something that sometimes people, if they're coming into Mexico for the first time, if they just don't want to be doing the driving because they're not familiar with anything, you recommend that they have a driver. How do you go about finding someone that can drive you? I mean, what's the process?
Well, with Valle de Guadalupe, I always did it with a driver. I would drive to the border and he would pick me up. And I have a picture of him and his name and his phone number and his email so you can hire him. He's a
Mm-hmm.
professional driver. He lives in Ensenada, which is the big city near Valle de Guadalupe, and he's lived there his whole life. He knows all these wineries, and actually he was really helpful with some of the content in the book. With some of these wineries, I just couldn't get through to people, and you know what? He would just go over there and walk in.
Mm-hmm.
He's a really great guy. His English is perfect. Of course, his Spanish is even more perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you know what's funny is because the one time when I was coming home and I have all this wine with me, he says, I can drive over the border and take you to your car. And I didn't think he could do that, but he did. He has his visa. So, you know what I did the next time? It's too funny. I asked him to drive all the way up to Pasadena in Los Angeles and pick me up. So I didn't even have to drive to the border. He's so nice. He's so great. He's reasonable. And he knows where everything is.
Boy, you can't beat that.
Isn't that great?
You cannot beat that at all. That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Well, I know that you're on your way to Greece. You have
Yes.
traveled so much this year, Michael. It's almost what, 4 months of this year that you've been on
I
the
know.
road?
That's like a third of the year I've been in Europe.
Mm-hmm. And
I
you've
love
traveled?
travel and I
Yes, you
love being
do.
at home too.
Mm-hmm. So when you're looking at your next journey, that one in Greece, we're going to have to get together again. And Michael, I think that this has just been a wonderful opportunity for conversation. Your books are gorgeous. And I've always enjoyed having you on the show, and with every one of the areas that you've gone into, you've done such extensive research, and the photography is, oh my goodness, it's just beautiful. And it's something that I think that Americans in general love to travel. They really do love traveling. And that is something that you just enhance. Instead of people being afraid, like we've gone past the COVID, there's so many things that we hear about, and you say, no, this is a beautiful country to go to. This is our next door neighbor, and you don't have to be frightened. It's not something that you have to be concerned about. All of the things that we've shared in this program, I think, are just so significant and so important. And I'm just delighted we've had this chance to chat, and I know that we're going to have your information at the end of the program. People can contact you directly. They can find out about, your website and everything else. It's been a joy having you as a guest. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, this was great. I always love talking with you, Donna.
It's so much fun because you do the traveling, you're paying those bills, I get to read the books.
Okay.
I don't have the time to do
book.
that. I thoroughly enjoy your material. Thank you again for being my guest.
You're welcome.
You have been listening to the Donna Seebo Show Special Editions. The audio version of this program will also be heard on the Donna Seebo Show radio broadcast. We are delighted you were able to join us and invite you to share this programming with your friends and family. Have a rich and fulfilling life.